Aloha, everyone, and welcome. I have been really excited about this interview, and I'm so grateful for Danyelle Cedar, who was willing to come on here and do the interview. Danyelle Cedar is an author of Dear Thomas, and she's going to explain a bit more about what that book is about. So, definitely, Danielle, take it away.
Thank you for having me. Yes, my name is Danyelle Cedar. I wrote my first memoir is called Dear Thomas, and it is my journey of what it is like to be in love with a drug addict and alcoholic. I wrote that book for all of the loved ones of addicts and just to let them know that what they're going through is relatable and I relate to you and you're not alone. It's also extremely relatable to anyone who's been in a relationship with a narcissist. Thomas definitely has narcissistic tendencies. His narcissism is a little more subtle than other narcissists. And then I am working on my second book right now. I'm not announcing what the title is yet. I already know what books three and four are. The third book is possibly going to be my bestseller, and that is because that one is an extreme narcissist. So I've definitely had my fair share in narcissists in my life.
Ugh, sorry to hear that first,
Yeah.
but when it comes to awareness, what were the earliest signs of narcissistic behavior that you noticed, and how can others, either coaches of survivors or other survivors, recognize the red flags sooner?
So this was extremely difficult for me, and I learned why. My dad is a narcissist. In fact, I think my dad is a step up from that. I would say my dad is more of a sociopath. So to be raised by a narcissist, you are blinded to it, essentially. So in my 20s, I started hearing the word and the term narcissist, and I was like, what is that? And I can't even really pinpoint when I figured it out, but as I became more educated or aware what narcissists are, I was like, oh, that's my dad, but my dad like times 10. So I
Mm.
think that is something anyone who is raised by a narcissistic parent might have a harder time even recognizing that they're in a narcissistic relationship because it is so familiar to them. So that was very difficult for me to one see the flags or the signs. Um, and then Thomas, who is the subject in my first book, like I said, he is an addict, but he is a narcissist as well. And his narcissism definitely is more subtle. But what I realized in the journey of writing that book was even on Thomas's worst day, whether he was drunk, high, just a bum in the gutter on the side of a road, basically, he was still a better man to me than how my dad ever treated me. Thomas
Mm.
never raised his hand at me. He never spoke to me in a demeaning way, never called me names, never even raised his voice at me. And
Mm.
so that was one of the many reasons why I was stuck in that relationship for so long is because he still treated me better than my own father did. Doesn't make it right, but I think that's also why his subtle narcissism um, wasn't as noticeable to me for a very long time. But as far as early signs or recognizing soon or recognizing flags sooner, I think a big one, well, the earliest signs would have to be love bombing because narcissists try to hook you.
Mm.
They really want you to feel the love and they turn on the charm extra hard to just hook you so you're sucked in. But a sign that I try to pay attention to, or maybe one that I notice more, is are they fair? Is there an equal balance of give and take? Do they only take? But when they give, are they doing it to gain something? Or are
Mhm.
they genuinely giving you something because they're a good person? Same thing. Are they trying to gain something or are they expecting something in return? Are they
Right.
being tit for tat? So I feel like that is an early sign that you can recognize. At least for me, that would be an early sign for me. Um, and again, going back to being raised by a narcissist, I personally today have a very difficult time accepting gifts or help from people because my dad, that was a huge thing. He would only give me things for the sole purpose to use it against me later. Whether
Mm.
that's that I did this, this, and this for you, or if he gave me a physical, tangible gift just to take it away. So that's a big thing that I have to work on, especially in future relationships. Like if a significant other wants to do something nice for me, just flat out doing something nice for me, doesn't even have to give me a physical gift, just doing something nice for me. I'm always afraid that it's going to be used against me later. So that's a sign that I look for in people is the equal balance of give and take. And again, are they doing it because they're a good person or are they doing it because they're trying to gain something?
Yeah, the quid pro quo is really frustrating and hard to deal with.
Mhm. Yeah.
You spoke about confusion, and I'm just curious as far as like self-doubt showing up for you during that time. Um, what can supporters do to help someone trust their own perceptions and trust their own intuition again?
Well, the biggest confusion was I could never win. I could never do anything right.
Hmm.
And so for supporters, just know that you need to take a step back, obviously. You need to do some your own self-work and healing, but recognize that you are not doing anything wrong. And I think that's a big thing with narcissists is when you are with a narcissist, no matter what you do, you will never do anything right in their eyes. Um,
Right.
for an example, I had a boyfriend or an ex-boyfriend where when we were talking about our future, it's important to me when I have kids, like I'm going to want to only work part-time or I'm going to want to be able to work part-time from home because I don't want to be away from my kids 40 hours a week. I don't want to go to a job to earn money just to pay all that money to a babysitter who's spending 40 hours a week with my kids. That's just what I want for myself. And so in this past relationship I had, I was just feeling it out like, hey, if we're going to have a future together, if we're going to have a kids, like, how do you feel about me working part-time from home? And they did not like that idea. They're like, no, you need to work full time. Okay. Then at the same time, in this relationship, we're not married, we don't have kids, but just know like, okay, in my future, they're not okay with me working part-time or staying at home, being a stay-at-home mom part of the time. I need to work full-time. Well, currently right now, I work full-time and it infuriates them. They resent me for working. They resent me for working on the weekends because I should be spending time with them. So again, I can never win. It's on both sides. Nothing's ever good enough for them. I'm supposed to be working full time, but then when I am, they resent me because I'm not spending time for them. Um,
Right.
Another example of I can never do anything right. I remember I was 16 and my dad owned a business and I had to go drop off a delivery a few towns over. And so I dropped off these boxes for him. And on my way back, he was calling me. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm not supposed to answer my cell phone when I'm driving. But if I don't answer, he's going to get mad at me. Like, what if there's an emergency or what if it's important? What if I forgot to pick something up at this drop off? So in my
Right.
mind, I'm already going crazy. I'm like, oh my God, what's the right thing to do? The phone's ringing. You're supposed to answer it, but I'm driving, so I'm not supposed to answer it. So I chose to answer my cell phone. And my dad said to me, he's like, are you driving? And I'm like, yeah, I'm on my way back. I dropped off the boxes for you and I'm on my way back. And he goes, well, you're not supposed to answer your cell phone when you're driving. So when you get back, you're giving me your cell phone and your car keys and you're grounded and hung up the phone. So again, sociopath.
Right.
He called me just to test me, just to fail me.
Right.
Like the mind fuck in the games, like it's so unfair and to grow up like that. Again, I could never win. I could never do anything right. It's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Mm,
So that's my take on the confusion. So if anyone is still in a relationship with a narcissist and you're hearing this and you feel like, "Oh my God, you're right. I can never do anything right." Like that's facts. The narcissist, you will never win. Nothing you do in their eyes will ever be the right thing.
mm. Oh, that's hits home. I definitely dated narcissists in my past,
Yeah.
and like I remember my ex talked to me about how I cleaned wrong. The end result was still the same, but I cleaned incorrectly.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just like, really? Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So when you think of gaslighting, what did it actually feel like in real life, and how can professionals spot that dynamic, or even survivors spot that dynamic and validate their own feelings, or if it's a professional, validate their client's feelings?
Yeah. I think if you don't know what gaslighting is, or you don't know that it's happening to you when it's happening to you, what it feels like is you might feel like you're getting defensive. And again, because you can't do anything right when you're with a narcissist.
Hmm.
So you probably have these feelings of getting defensive of like, no, I know I'm right, or no, I know this is right or wrong. Um, Gaslighting could feel like you might notice it more as it feels like they're insulting you. They're insulting your character, your beliefs, and essentially they're making you feel crazy. I mean, that's what gaslighting is they make you feel flippin' crazy. Um, when you get to the point of when you do know what gaslighting is, or you do recognize it, and this will typically be once you've gotten out of a narcissistic relationship, and then say later you get into another one, then that time between those relationships is probably when you'll become more educated on what gaslighting is. And so because this happened to me. So when I was in the next relationship with another narcissist, I was more better able to recognize gaslighting. And when you do recognize it, um, it's almost entertaining because it's like you step back and it's almost like you're watching a movie,
Hmm.
at least for me. And I remember thinking like, wow, they're the crazy one. And then
Hmm.
you realize like this person is stupid for thinking that I'm stupid. Like,
Hmm.
how dare you think I'm this stupid?
Yeah.
And with gaslighting, like it's like you're arguing with a wall. And something I tell myself is one of my mantras or my motto is I am not the fuckface whisperer. And so you really just arguing is not going to get you anywhere. Um, and then also as you become more self-aware of what you deserve and what you will or will not tolerate, I think the next thing that we are not subconsciously aware of is that we beat ourselves up for allowing someone to treat us like this in the first place, for allowing this person into our life in the first place. And so I think that's the last part is that we aren't subconsciously aware that we're upset with ourselves. And that is the biggest thing as far as forgiveness goes. I have a hard time with forgiveness. It's just something I've always struggled with. I think the word itself and the definition just doesn't line up for me. I don't comprehend it. Um, so I have a very difficult time forgiving other people, but the most important thing is to forgive yourself. And I have been better at that, forgiving myself, than I have been at forgiving other people. Um, but I think that is a huge thing that people don't recognize and realize, like their anger and pain deep down, they're mad at themselves for allowing this behavior or allowing, say, a horrible person into their life. So
Hmm.
I think that's a huge step in healing. But again, forgive yourself. I say forgiving other people, forgive yourself. But that's just me.
For sure. Yeah, it's I talk to people a lot in my self-defense programs for women and girls, and I think that there's this thought that you have to forgive your, your attacker,
Mhm.
and I'm always telling them, that's not your job. Your job is to be able to forgive yourself. And if forgiveness comes for someone else, that's something else, that's on, but you don't have to rush that process. You don't have to rush that process because your faith tells you that you have to forgive, or that your family is telling you you need to forgive this person because they're family or their friends or their loved ones.
Mhm.
There's no real timeline for doing that, if at all, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so getting into more of like the breaking point, the boundaries, was there a specific moment that you realized like this isn't love, this is control? What helped you name that truth, and how can coaches guide others towards that same clarity?
Mhm. I can't really think if there's an exact moment of when I realized like this is not love, this is control. I feel like anytime a woman or anyone in a narcissistic or toxic situation, when they are finally ready to leave, whatever that straw was that broke the camel's back, sometimes it's like the smallest straw out of all of the big things that happened previous. Like sometimes people think like, oh, something big and dramatic had to happen for you to finally leave, but sometimes it could be the smallest thing, like the last thing that they would have ever expected. Just it's just almost like a light bulb goes off. So, and I think it just really comes down to just an absolute lack of respect. Just that one
Mhm.
last straw. It's just like, I don't know, it just clicks. Like you do not respect me. Um, I feel like in several past toxic relationships, just certain people just never took my words seriously. And that's just because they didn't respect me. And and again, it didn't matter if my word was respectful or not, because in a narcissist world, nothing's ever good enough. You'll never win. Um, there was one, it was the last toxic relationship I was in. And like I said, that will be book number 3. But that one, there was a point where they were taunting me. Like just like imagine just poking at you, just and taunting me until the point that I was hyperventilating and crying so hard. And the only other person, I've had other past relationships that weren't great, but I've never been with someone who taunted me like that. And the last person who did taunt me like that was my dad.
Mm.
Um, and so to go through that again, that was definitely one of the last straws, or just I got a sense of clarity of like, I don't want this. Like, why would I? This is not love. Um, and so yeah, but I think just bottom line, it's just there's going to be a specific moment of just this is a lack of respect. And again, I always feel like that last straw that breaks the camel's back is like the smallest straw ever. I mean, it could be something as simple as like they didn't or they got mad at you because you didn't take out the trash or something. Like again, it's going to be so minuscule where you're finally just I don't care
Done.
anymore. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Um, Yeah, I feel that too. I mean, all the stuff that you're saying, I'm just like, yep, yep, that happened. That happened. I recognize that. So what boundary was the hardest for you to set, and how did you find the courage to keep it?
I don't know if there's a particular boundary that was the hardest to set. I think just sticking to your boundaries in general is difficult.
Hmm.
Um, and someone had told me, and this could be, this is great for boundaries, but this could even be how should I say this? Um, just in general, when you're looking for a partner, relationships, there's could be anyone in your life, whether it's an employer, a friend, or a family member. But on the topic of boundaries, write down a list of your boundaries and then circle which ones are absolutely non-negotiable. Because, for
Mhm.
example, in a partnership or in a relationship, there are things in life that you are going to have to compromise on. Um, but you need to, so say, write down a list of your boundaries and just circle the non-negotiables of what you will not compromise on. There's going to be some things on your list that you will have to compromise, but circle what is a non-negotiable and then drill it in your mind and brain that this is a non-negotiable and why is it a non-negotiable? Like write down the list of cons of what will happen if those boundaries are broken. And if you just instill it in your brain and ingrain it, like it will be that much easier to not cross those boundaries. And I would hope that you're more self-aware of red flags that are trying to, cross those boundaries, basically. Um, so again, I can't think of a boundary that's one specific boundary that was difficult for me to set. I think just sticking to your boundaries in general is difficult. And it could be something as small as, I had a relationship where they would call me so much and again, because it was a control thing and they wanted to know like what you were doing, who you were with at all times. But I had a boundary as something as like, do not call me within these 2 hours in the morning because like I have my morning routine and you're messing with my morning routine, which is going to mess with my entire day. I mean, it could be something as small as that. But yeah, the hardest part is just sticking to your boundaries. But I think, especially before getting into a relationship, knowing and circling which boundaries are an absolute non-negotiable and become fluent in that. So it's easier for you to make sure no one crosses those boundaries and for you to recognize red flags.
Absolutely. Yeah, I talk to my students about you teach others how to treat you. It's like a
Hmm.
funny. And when I'm coaching couples or I'm coaching somebody who is wanting to find a healthy relationship, I ask them to write down 5 things that they need in a relationship that they can't live without, and then
Hmm.
sticking to those things because I think that it's important for us to understand, like you're saying, the non-negotiables. Like, okay, what does that mean exactly? If somebody does this, is that exactly what you're asking or you wanting, or is there some wiggle room? What's the gray area? But what's just the absolute no?
Hmm. Yeah.
What would you offer as far as advice for coaching survivors when it comes to boundaries? What's a compassionate first step for boundaries work?
Um, see here. Sorry, I was looking at one of these questions, like along almost saying set lines of like how to make someone feel, help someone not feel guilty by saying no or by like, no, don't cross my boundary.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Something that I've recently kind of stuck with is you are the only person you have to live with for the rest of your life. Like you have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. So do not feel bad for protecting your peace. And if you feel bad for saying no to someone or bending your boundaries for someone, um, something I wrote in my first memoir, Dear Thomas, was I was not born on this planet. My purpose was not to take care of Thomas. Like he was not my child,
Mhm.
So I kind of taught myself, unless I gave birth to you, like I am not your mother. I am not here to take care of you. Um, so I try to tell people that like your purpose was not to take care of this person. I know someone who is in a very toxic marriage, and one of their excuses of not leaving is because their husband basically has mommy issues. His mom abandoned him. And so she, the wife who's in this toxic marriage, wants to prove to him that not all women leave him. And so I've said to her, I'm like, well, that's like saying his mom left him, abandoned him when he was a baby for the sole purpose to make you miserable because you chose to marry him. Like, that is not your purpose in life, is to be
Yeah.
miserable because this woman, for her own reasons, left her husband and children. And so I just try to tell people, like, you are the only person that's going to live with yourself for the rest of your life. So love yourself because you are all you have. And whatever misery you're, whatever points you're trying to prove to someone, like, that's not your purpose to take care of those other people. So I hope that makes sense.
Yes.
So don't feel bad for saying no. Do not feel bad for protecting your peace.
Yeah, and with that, how can people reframe that guilt into more of a place of empowerment? That's they're sticking up for themselves. They're, you know,
Yeah, I mean, it's sticking up for yourself is not a selfish thing. Like, being selfish is a form of self-love and self-care as long as you're doing it correctly, if that makes sense. Like, if you know you're not a bad person and that you're not a selfish person, like, I think more people need to be selfish and
right,
love themselves. I think that's what this society and world has kind of turned into, for so many generations, that everyone's terrified of being selfish. And so then they self-abandon themselves. And I think that's where a huge lack of boundaries in general comes from, is because people are so hyper focused on, I don't want to be known as a selfish person. Um, and I think that's something, especially women, need to work on more of, is be more selfish. But if again, if it's almost like a nasty word, so don't say, but just self-love and
right.
self-care, you know? So
Well,
that's the best thing I can think of as far as empowering. Yeah, say no to, just, you're protecting your peace. You're protecting yourself. You are all you have. You are stuck with yourself for the rest of your life. So you have to protect yourself.
yeah, you have to live with yourself.
Hmm.
But with that, in the healing process and reclaiming yourself, your own body autonomy, even, how did you begin to rebuild your sense of self-worth once that narcissist influence was gone?
I had seen a meme somewhere. It said something along the lines of, imagine all of the love and energy you have put into other people. Why don't you take all of that love and all of that energy and put it into yourself? And for me personally, this year, I have tried and put in a lot of effort into actually doing that. I think sometimes self-love and self-care can be a cliche, but do it. Like, I challenge someone for a year, but baby steps. I mean, for a month, put as much love and energy that you would into someone else and into yourself. And that could be something as simple as, like, ladies, just shave your legs every day. Like, sometimes we're lazy and we only want to shave our legs maybe every 3 or 4 days, but, like, just shave your legs for yourself, not because you're trying to impress someone else or want someone else to see that you have smooth legs. Like, do it for yourself. Or even something as simple as, like, at night, last night, like, I put lotion on the bottom of my feet. Like, I don't ever think to do that because I'm just tired. Like, I shower and I go to bed, but it's like, I would probably, if I was in a relationship with someone, like, would like to give, like, foot massages, or, like, make sure, I like guys with rough hands and construction. Like, I'd put lotion on their knuckles or something, but it's like, why not just do that to yourself? So,
Mhm.
or, like, my nieces and nephews, like, I'm always making sure, like, they're fed and hydrated. Like, why don't you check in with yourself? Are you fed and hydrated, So it's definitely takes some awareness, but, like, I encourage people to try it. Again, try it for a month, but, like, dedicate an entire year of, like, I am going to put all the love and energy into myself and not other people. And you can still love other people, but make sure you're giving yourself the same amount, if not more.
Right. Yeah. In the self-care course, some of the people who are watching this have taken, there's something called tapping into your true north, and it's asking yourself these questions of what do I need right now? And then actually giving yourself that. And it's for women, oh my gosh, there's There's statistical data that shows that, we go to the bathroom less than we need to, because it's like, oh, we got to get through the whole day. We got to get through this whole list. And
Right.
I can't eat that right now. I can't eat right now. It's like, no, I need to eat. I need to go to the bathroom. Oh, I need to
Mhm.
brush my hair today. That would be so great. But yeah, just as you're talking, I'm in the process of moving. I'm at my new place. All these people have seen like my old spot, so they picture like the room in a certain way. But I was, nonstop doing that, and I just paused, and I'm like, I need to go and get my nails done.
Mhm.
To go and get my hair done. So then I was like, okay, I got my hair done. I got my nails done. This is great. But just doing those little things for yourself. Is there a practice? You talked about your morning routine, which I love because I'm big on morning routines.
Mhm.
What kind of practice or affirmations of support do you have for yourself?
Um, well, yeah, like I have got my morning routine and then of course my evening routine like before bed, but I personally still have not gotten into like meditation because I know that's the one thing that people always say. But for me, like I love tarot card readers. Um, so if I'm, just cleaning around my house or cooking, I'm very curious. So I follow like a lot of YouTube tarot card readers and like I just like to have that playing in the background. I'm always curious, that stuff. And I do listen to a lot of podcasts, especially like Mel Robbins, Jay Shetty. Like I love podcasts like that. Um, Other things that I do for myself, I love breath work and sound healing classes. If anyone has not done that, I highly recommend that. I guess you could say that's my form of meditation, going to breath work and sound healing. Um, what was the question again? Am I making sure I'm like wording it
Or
correctly?
yeah, what
Like
practice,
self practices.
affirmations supported you through your process?
Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess just doing stuff for myself, sticking to my routine. Yeah, like I do a lot of journaling. Journaling is amazing. Handwriting it, putting it in the notes in your phone, and then going back, say months later and reading it, like, whoa, that's the
Mhm.
place I was at so many months ago. Um, so journaling is great as well. So I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, no, you did. No, I think that journaling is huge for people because it gets all of the thoughts that we have in our brains, like if people with PTSD, it's like on repeat. So actually writing stuff down and getting it out of our mind and onto paper, there's something really special
Someone
about it.
told me that this was a while ago, but someone told me when you're going through stuff, healing or anxiety or anything, like when you're not feeling well or you just need to get it out of you, working with your hands. So writing, journaling, it's coming out of your hands. Or if you're like cleaning or cooking or doing a project or building something, like you're using your hands. Or even if you're running, if you run, because your hands are going like this, like I can't remember exactly what this person was telling me, but they're like, if you're going through something, don't just sit there, like do something with your hands, whether it's writing, building something, or you're running like this, your hands are moving. So I always thought that was interesting.
Yeah, in somatics, because I've taken somatic EMDR therapy and some other
Mhm.
trainings, a lot of it has to do with that bilateral movement, and it's rewiring the nerve endings in your brain. So you're creating new synapses when you're doing that. I think that that's along the same lines as using your
Okay.
hand.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, what role did community therapy and coaching play in your healing?
Um, I try to only follow like positive content on social media. So whether that's Instagram or YouTube, again, like I love like the positive memes, anything that's, along the lines of self-growth sort of content. I think we're starting to see definitely an inflation of like narcissists and gaslighting, memes and things, but it's great stuff to follow. So whatever you're following as far as for like a community and therapy, just make sure it's actually helping you and it's getting you out of the hole or it's making you see things in a different light and a different perception. If you're following anything that's like keeping you in the funk, you know, don't do that. But that's the community that I look for is like-minded people, and that's the content that I'm following. And then something I thought of too, when I'm heartbroken, I don't like to watch like say romantic movies. I'll watch something like, and I don't know if this is necessarily great advice, but I like to watch like Catfish and I'll be like, oh, well, at least I don't have those problems. Or after you do some healing, sometimes it's interesting to watch whether it's a TV show or a movie, but just to see like a toxic relationship from the outside and just to be able to recognize gaslighting and narcissism. Like you want to get to the point where you can recognize it from the outside perspective. So then hopefully you don't get into that again, or say your next relationship, you recognize flags and signs much sooner. Um, I don't know why I thought of that though, but just part of my part of my own healing journey. So yeah, I'm like
Yeah.
follow, a community of like-minded people and good positive content, something that's helping you grow. And then yeah, just a little side thing when I'm heartbroken, don't get sucked into the rom-coms. And I guess I
Right.
like to see things, like I said, I'll watch Catfish or something, but like, oh, at least I don't have those problems. Or just along the lines of like, oh, now I recognize what toxic behavior is. Or so.
Yeah. Well, and how can professionals create a safer space, more trauma-informed space for survivors to rebuild trust?
Ooh, gosh, that is really hard. Like, I feel like I'm still working on that. Like, how do I rebuild my trust? Like, I'm very much just like I'm done with certain people. Like, um,
I think a lot of people, they go into that space, they'll go in to see a therapist and they have a lot of apprehension, or they'll go see a coach or, a mental health provider, and they're just like already on edge because they don't want to feel like they have a problem. They're going to seek help because of what's happening in their
mhm.
lives. So they don't want to feel like they're crazy because in their partnership, someone's telling them you're crazy, you know?
Yeah. So you asked, so how can a professional like help someone?
Yeah,
I think the biggest thing is just detoxing. Like you are detoxing a person like you're detoxing a drug. I think that's the first step is just detox and get rid of everything of them, whether that's a memory or a feeling or something that's in the house that's going to trigger a memory. Like the biggest thing is detoxing. And then, yeah, like finding the like-minded community. So other, say, survivors or people going through the same trauma, just surrounding yourself with relatable people.
yeah. I remember, this is coming to mind, I had in my 20s, I had been in a relationship and definitely narcissistic tendencies coming up, but I got contacted and found out that this other person was also in the relationship with someone, the same person, and
Oh my God.
they were living with them, which is why I was never able to go over to this person's house. And so she and I became really good friends. And oh, yeah, thumbs up. She and I became really good friends, and she came and we actually got all of their stuff together and put it in our little fire pit. And we had a gourmet s'more
Oh
fire
my God,
burning
I
party.
love it.
So amazing.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that. That
It's
is
awesome. Just to find out, like, this whole time, this person, I think that the person was actually more of a sociopath, just no care or feeling for hurting anyone. And through that process, we found out that he was actually married to somebody else.
like a whole other
Yeah,
person? Oh my
a
God.
whole other person who
Swear-
he was
I
like
swear, the
separated.
nerve or like the audacity or like the size of some of these guys' balls that they think they have. It blows my mind.
Insane. I just was like, no. I'm so happy because I actually dumped the person before I found out about all of this stuff. Um, and she approached me and she's like, look, you got to stay away from him. I was like, oh, I dumped him last week.
Oh my God. That
But
is
then we
wild.
became friends and it was awesome. It was very kumbaya,
Mhm.
women's empowerment
It almost
thing.
like validates yourself too, where you're like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like there's a reason why I dumped him and I left. Like,
Right.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, I was just
trust your gut.
exactly. It's so important for you. Like the gut instinct, the intuition, it's not lying to you. Um, so getting back to it, how did your nervous system respond during and after the relationship and what helped to regulate it? I know that some people, eczema, fibromyalgia, like all of these different skin conditions come up.
Oh
But
my God. Yeah, I forgot about that. Now that you say that, when I was going through my breakup with Thomas, I've never had hives before in my life, and I broke out. I mean, I didn't know what it was doing. I've never had chicken pox before, so I thought I was having chicken pox at like 29, 30 years old or something. And I was just like, what is happening? I mean, my whole body was covered. And I guess I took like a um what the heck do you take? Like some sort of allergy medication. I don't know. I took something at night because this was happening at night. So by the time I woke up in the morning, it was gone. But then the next day, literally clockwork on the 24-hour mark, it happened again. And I'm like, and I remember taking pictures. I'm like, this is what you have done to me.
yes,
And
I
that's
had
impressive.
three clients who have had hives, and I asked them, what's happening in their relationship, and sure enough, just really toxic stuff was happening. And I'm like, you need
Hmm.
to, you need to like
Yeah.
get it.
And that was the only time. So it only happened those 2 nights in a row. And again, I just was mind blown that someone else has the power to do that to you and it physically shows up. And also in that relationship, it was, and I don't want to spoil my book for anyone, but going through how it ended, I have never thrown up so much before in my life. And I am someone, I have always grown up, I don't like throwing up. Like when people say like, oh, I throw up, I feel so much better. Like, no, that is not me. I do not feel better. It comes
Well,
out my
hold it in
like I
till
don't. When I was a kid, if it came halfway up, I would swallow it. That's how much I hated throwing up. But during this breakup, what Thomas did to me, I would say in there was a 4 month period of how fresh the breakup was. And in those 4 months, I have never thrown up that much in my entire life combined than
wow,
in those 4 months. I mean, and that's again going back to like you're detoxing a person like a drug. I mean, you are purging the toxicity and the abuse that they put you through. Like your body is purging this person. Your body wants absolutely nothing to do with them anymore. And like physically, it is like, I mean, when you physically see stuff happening, whether it's hives or profusely throwing up, I mean, it's like, wow, you did this to me. So that was one indication of that's what I went through with Thomas. And then I have another one, again, book number 3 subject. I was always sick. I always felt nervous. I was always on edge. I always felt like I was in trouble. Again, for what? Driving from work to home and not like calling them the second I clock out. And I just remember one time being in the shower and like I was gonna go hang out with friends and like that upset them. And I just remember feeling like I hate this feeling and I don't want to feel this again. Like this is not what love is supposed to feel like. A relationship should not be this difficult. Like you should not constantly feel punished because
of
you
being
want to
here.
go to the beach
Yeah.
with your friends for sunset. So after getting out of that relationship or any toxic relationship that I've been in, you just feel like you can breathe. You're not disappointing anyone. Again, there was no way or reason that you were disappointing them in the first place. Just again, you can never win. Um, but it's just, yeah, a sense of freedom and fresh air, and you've detoxed. Like,
Right. And it's an amazing, you feel so much lighter just from being able
yeah,
to go through.
and I feel that too. Also, I feel like anytime I've gotten out of a relationship, I do lose a significant amount of weight. Isn't that interesting? Like you literally lose the physical weight off your chest. And then, yeah, you just detox the toxicity and like you've done a cleanse. And I think there's just this glow that everyone has when they've been released of a narcissist.
Right. Oh, with that, talking about different tools and purging, but what are some grounding tools that you would recommend for coaches to learn?
Oh,
Survivors.
survivors, grounding tools.
Yeah, you had talked about breath work as a big thing for you.
Yeah,
Do you have a specific
yeah.
regimen that you
I
follow?
mean, something out of like, so going back to like you're detoxing someone. So yeah, like breath work, sound healing, but then all of a sudden, like if your diet hasn't been that great, like put a lot of focus and energy into eating right and exercising. I think
Yes.
exercising is the best thing, especially after like getting away from a narcissist. I think it's because it starts doing stuff, chemicals to your brain. You're thinking clearer, uh,
Serotonin. Mm.
yeah, I think that is a huge thing. Because obviously, I mean, not obviously, but I imagine a lot of people that are getting like deeply abused from narcissists, I can't imagine that they're exercising on a regular basis. Because
Right.
I just picture someone who exercises on a regular basis has a fairly good train of thought, if that makes sense. And someone like that wouldn't be tolerating, um, basically. And that's, not necessarily probably true for everyone, but I think maybe the majority of people who are extremely stuck and can't get out probably aren't exercising on a regular basis. And so I
Right.
think that's a huge thing when you are released of a toxic, narcissistic person, eating right, but getting some serious, regular 30 to 60-minute a day exercise in every day. Like you don't have to be a marathon runner, but just go walking and get outside and um
I had
I think that really helps the chemicals in your brain and you start thinking clearer again and you start seeing things with different perception.
right. Yeah. I have a friend of mine, and she ended up losing over 50 pounds before she left her narcissistic husband.
Mhm.
But it was because he was always saying how she let herself go. And, if she really cared about herself, then maybe he would love her more. And so she spent a year focused on losing all of this weight. And
Mhm.
it still, when she finally reached that ideal size, it wasn't good enough.
Still
And
never good enough for them.
that was the realization of like time to go.
Hmm.
And so, just hearing that, my heart goes out to people who you feel like nothing that you'll do is ever going to be enough.
Hmm.
My ex who had narcissistic tendencies, it was really crazy because he was, outside, he was more of a covert narcissist. So everybody loved him. He was, we were the it couple, that kind of thing. And I just remember telling my girlfriend, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do without this person. And she's like, you run a business, you run a nonprofit, and you're telling me you don't know how to handle being alone without a man.
Hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
And it was just amazing realization of like time to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love. I love what you're saying is just taking time, having that nutrition, being healthy, focusing on you, because even just walking, you have that alone time to think, right? So you're
Mhm.
not with that person all the time. So, you know, transition and growth, how has your definition of love, respect, and partnership evolved since healing? And for coaches, how can we help clients define that? What is healthy for healthy love? And what does it feel like?
Yeah. This is something I'm still working on, but something I try to remember is I know that I bring everything to the table already. And so for my future partner, like they need to bring something to the table that I don't, or they need to be adding something to my life, not taking anything away from my life. And I'm trying to put in a lot of effort or just recognizing like I am looking for a partner. I am not looking for an employee or AKA I don't want someone I need to mother.
Right.
And I'm also not looking for an employer. I don't want to feel like an employee or a slave to the person I'm with. So I am trying really hard to just focus on I already bring everything to the table. So you got to be adding some sort of value to my life and not be taking anything from me. Looking for a partnership. So that's what I'm working on as far as like what am I looking for and what my definition of love and respect is, for the future. And then I also try to remember, my past relationships when it's been towards the end and it's been like, I don't like how this feels, or if I would have not continued this relationship as long as I did, I would have spared myself all of this pain and agony. So I try to remember that feeling of those moments of when I felt regret, like, oh, I would have spared myself all of this. So because there was a relationship towards the beginning. I remember when I was seeing flags, I remember thinking, like, well, remember the last relationship where I'm like, oh, had I not continued this or had I not ignored the red flags, I wouldn't be feeling this sense of, oh, I would have spared myself all of this. So then in the next one, when I really start recognizing flags, I'm like, okay, this is the point where you walk away so you don't get to that point of, oh, I, wish I would have spared myself all this time. So I've
Right.
tried, I work really hard on recognizing flags and being like, this is that turning point of either you're going to spare yourself or say a year down the line, you're going to be like, oh my God, I wish I spared myself all this pain and agony. So just trying to remember that those feelings of regret of like, I wish I spared myself all of this. And then recognizing be like, well, this is the turning point. And so that's what I try to focus on, if that makes sense. But again, pain, just knowing. And I think it goes back to like, say, writing your list of boundaries and your non-negotiables, but also like that helps you recognize and drill in your brain like what is your self-worth and
Mm.
knowing like you already bring everything to the table. And so if you're going to let someone into your life, they better be adding something or bringing something else to that table and not taking anything away from your table, basically.
I love that. What has freedom come to mean to you personally, and how can those guiding survivors and those who are survivors encourage empowerment without pushing too fast? Because sometimes it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, the freedom I have gained is, I do what I want when I want, and I don't have to explain myself to anyone. And I do not feel bad about the life I live because I know I'm a good person and I'm not hurting anyone. And I know I'm also doing everything right. Like again, because with narcissists, you can't do anything right. But I
Right.
know I'm not doing anything wrong. And with that said, that's coming from a mentality of yes, like I am currently single right now. So yes, I do what I want when I want. I don't have to explain myself to anyone, but that's how it should be in a healthy relationship as well. Like you should do what you want when you want, and you shouldn't have to explain yourself to your partner as long as you're not disrespecting them or anyone. Like there's no reason why you can't live that same life. Um, I'd also heard on a YouTube clip one time, it said something like, when you are in a relationship with someone, let them do whatever they want because you will see what it is that they rather do. And that shows someone like that shows their true colors a lot too. And it goes both ways. They should let you do whatever you want because you're going to prove to them what you rather do anyways, whether that's be with them or go to lunch with your mom or respect them or disrespect them. It's you see people's true colors. So whether you're single or not, you should be doing whatever it is that you want, and you shouldn't have to explain yourself to anyone either. And I think that's a huge indication of whether or not you're with the right person or not.
So true.
Mhm.
And that goes with the shift in mindset. Um, I'm just wondering if there's a mantra that helped you move forward from surviving to thriving.
I think just the reminder of I am the only person that I have to live with for the rest of my life. So just love myself. Um, and I better like myself because again, I'm stuck with myself. Um, I'm someone who I like to set annual goals and even quarterly goals. And currently, there's a handful of things going on in my life right now, but I have written on my bathroom mirror 2024 was about surviving, and 2025 was about getting back to being the best version of myself. If I ever was that in the past, I don't know. But I think if there's a positive phrase that helps people get out of bed in the morning or function throughout the day, I think a great place to write that is on your bathroom mirror because you'll look at it several times a day or however many times you go to the bathroom. So I think the bathroom mirror is a great place to write something positive for yourself. Um, but yeah, as far as a mind shift or change or mantra, just that has helped me, go from surviving to thriving. It's I have to live with myself for the rest of my life. So I better like myself, let alone love myself.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
You are your permanent roommate, basically. There's no escaping you.
Remember with my ex, what really helped me get out the door was I kept on saying I love myself fiercely. And
Hmm.
it was just a reminder of like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So if you could speak to someone who is still entangled with a narcissist, what would you want them to hear today? And what would you tell others to support them?
I would say you don't deserve this. This was not your life purpose to be stuck with this narcissist. You certainly did not ask for it. Like people don't line up to be in relationships with narcissists, it's not, it's not the booth they're lining up at buying tickets for. Um, And I just would say to them, like, you can live a beautiful, happy, healthy life, but you have to close the door on this. You have to say goodbye and walk away from this narcissist in order to get that life of freedom. Like, everyone deserves a beautiful, happy, healthy life. There is no one who doesn't. I mean, maybe Hitler doesn't, but, um, but seriously, anyone who's still with a narcissist, like, I'm sorry, you're still stuck in it. You don't deserve it. And just know, like, that's not why you were put on this earth. Whether you're spiritual or religious, I'll just throw the God name out. Like, God did not put you on this planet to be stuck, with this narcissist. I will say one time I had a palm reader because I love doing this. I'm more spiritual than religious, but I went to a palm reader and she had said one of my narcissistic exes that I had just gotten away from. She said they were meant to come into my life to torture me so I could help educate women, you know, on the matter. And I was like, okay, I'll accept that. So, yeah, those of you still with the narcissist, you don't deserve it. It's not your purpose in life unless they were meant to come into your life to torture you so you can help future women. But again, you need to walk away from that narcissist to have that beautiful life and then to help educate other women.
So, what part of your story do you now see as your greatest source of strength? You might have just answered it.
Um, yeah, the palm reader, that was a huge thing. But yeah, just um that I'm not a failure, that I survived. And again, like I survived something that I don't feel like I voluntarily signed up for, but I guess it was in the cards that I had to go through it. Um, I'd hope, and I always try. I mean, I have my first book published and I have several other books in the making, but I like to say my journey or my experience is someone's future survival guide.
Hmm,
So I guess that's the greatest strength that I can get out is just to help others after what I've gone through.
I love that.
Yeah.
What does peace look like? Because you've been talking about peace a lot, but what does it look like and feel like to you now? And how can both survivors and helpers remember that peace is possible even in the midst of chaos?
Yeah. Well, it's peaceful, that's for sure. I mean, peace to me again is just kind of just doing, like I said, what you want when you what want, and you don't have to explain yourself to anyone and not feel bad about it, and recognizing that it's okay to be selfish because it's self-love and you deserve to love yourself. And just, can try your best, as much love and energy that you're putting into other people, put it into yourself first, or, if not, give yourself a little more love than you are to other people. Um, it's a hard one for me to perfectly paint the picture though of what peace looks like, but it's just also because everyone's definition of peace is different. But again, just room to breathe and not feel guilty about living your life for yourself.
Mm,
So,
yeah, that's huge.
mhm.
Are there any other lasting things that you would like people to know along with that, sharing, how people can find you and your work?
Gosh, not that I can think of. You had some tough questions.
Yeah.
There's some good questions though. Uh,
Um, and
uh,
my preface to people, if you are looking, like she's going to share, but please look in the workbook because we have her bio, we have website, we have social media outlets that she has. So please use those as resources. And if you need to contact her, definitely do.
Yes, please feel free. Like, don't ever hesitate. And again, like I even have it in the back of my first memoir of Dear Thomas. Like, again, I wrote it for loved ones of addicts, and I always tell people like your story is relatable. Like, I relate to you, and you're not alone. That's actually why I wrote the book, was because I didn't want people to feel like they were alone. Um, and again, it's relatable to anyone you know, stuck with a narcissist. Like I said, the third book will really be about narcissism. But aside from the topic of narcissism and drug addiction and alcoholism, just any topic in life, like you are not alone in this world. Whatever it is you're going through, there is someone out there that's relatable. And so do not be afraid to talk or reach out. That is something that I actually learned in the last few years, especially after what I went through with Thomas, was for the longest time I held on to what I was going through to myself because I felt so much embarrassment and I didn't want to talk or let anyone know what I was going through. But after a very long time and a lot of conversations that I finally had the courage to have, I realized the more you talk about it, it is easier to get through it, or you'll get through it faster. But just know, like, whenever you're feeling embarrassed, like, you don't need to. I feel like we feel embarrassed because we feel like we're alone, but there are so many people out there who relate to what you're going through. So therefore there are plenty of people out there in the world that you do not need to feel embarrassed in front of because they've probably gone through it as well. So, but yes, so if anyone feels like they anyone is welcome to reach out to me, is what I'm saying. So please reach
Thank
out.
you.
If I'm slow to answer, it has nothing to do with you. I promise you that. So please do not hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, and that was just a great piece that I heard when you were talking is you are never alone. So
Mhm.
those who are watching and going through it or who have survived it, just know that you aren't alone. And Danielle,
Exactly.
thank you so much for coming on. Really
Thank
appreciate
you for
you.
having me.
Yeah.